We got CPI data that came out today. Tesla closed down 2% and we saw $20 million worth of covered calls come into Tesla. We're also going to go over the confirmed flow of $124 million of puts that have come into Tesla. We're also going to go over my position on Tesla and why I took this. So I posted on my Twitter account, I post all my trades over there. You guys should definitely go follow it and check out our Discord, which is completely free. There's over 12,000 members in it. I posted this today and I said, this is an A+ rating. I have a ton of bullish positions open right now based on the 4-hour and the daily timeframes, meaning that over the next couple of weeks, I do think that the market's going to probably continue to push, but I think we could see a pullback probably going into tomorrow and maybe Monday. And I said that the short-term 1-hour setup is just too good to pass up. I currently own 400 shares long-term, so this will be slightly a hedge. We currently have a rising wedge divergence using 265 as a rejection zone, which we're going to talk about and show in a little bit. The head and shoulders play, this will still be the top, and I think it is still in play. I'll be looking to take profit at 245 to 240. I'll be looking to stop out on break above 265, and I'm trading with less than 2% of my capital under management. So if we look over at the 1-hour chart on Tesla, you're going to see a couple of bearish things initially off the bat. Number one would be this bearish order block that is currently coming in and sitting right at above $265 to $270. That is not a good sign, and the fact that we have been rejecting off of it multiple times is not good either. As we're moving into resistances, which we talk a lot about on this channel, we really want to be seeing volume increase into a resistance, as well as seeing, in the best case scenario, the unusual options market increase as well and see some unusual buying. But more importantly, we want to see volume in general as we move into these resistances. So if we start to see selling pressure coming in and we don't see buying coming in, we know that this resistance is probably going to reject. And if you look here, we have one thing that looks very bad. We have a bearish divergence, and this occurs when we made a higher high back here on October 5th, and then another higher high here on the 11th, but our RSI actually made a lower high. And this obviously doesn't mean that we instantly have to reject or start to trend back down, but it does mean that the movement to the upside that we have is becoming weaker and weaker, and that there is a chance that if we were to break a key support, that we would probably move our way back down to where there's a little bit more demand or a better order block setting up, which would be right down at $245, where we have the volume profile and this bullish order block sitting. So if we were to look at this trade, I saw today that we had $260 covered calls come through. On our Discord community, I push heavily that 90% of unusual options flow is completely worthless. And people post it out there because it looks great to say every day that all of this flow is coming in and it's so unusual and you have to pay for the program so that you can get it. If you don't understand how to interpret this information correctly, you're not only going to lose yourself money, but lose a lot of other people money as well. For anybody who doesn't know what an unusual option is, basically the options market in real time, and because there's not that many people trading, we can actually start to pick up on some unusual buying patterns. And what we talk about a lot when it comes to flow, and when we saw Tesla bounce off of 240 back in September, we saw hundreds upon millions of dollars coming in as we're coming up into these resistance points. But we're no longer seeing that anymore. It's between confirmed and unconfirmed calls. At the bottom left side of your screen, you guys are going to see Tesla and Nvidia today were both the most active calls on the day, which just means that they take all of the calls that were recorded for the day and they add them up. Okay, not bad. That sounds like, oh, okay, there's a lot of money coming into Tesla. But if we were to actually look further and we were to come over to the bullish flow, which means that it has to be confirmed, meaning that the person who put the order in had to have gone in on the bid or on the ask. Because if it's unconfirmed, it could be somebody selling a position and we think they're buying, etc., etc. But if you look at the bullish flow for the day, Tesla's nowhere to be found. There wasn't even $1 million worth of confirmed flow on the day. And now, if we go to the heat map, which I have tons of videos in our Discord community, and our courses are over there in the Discord community, teaching you guys how to read all of these and breaking them down in the most simplest way possible. But if we go and look at this heat map, you're going to see a different story. Because yeah, there was $20 million worth of calls that came through. right here at 260 bucks. And they expire this Friday. And the way we know that is because it's sitting here in the C0 column. So any of these are going to be calls that expire this Friday. C1 is going to be calls that expire next Friday. C2 is going to be calls that expire in 2 weeks, and so on for puts. Now, looking at these 260 calls, these calls were sold. This is somebody who's selling a covered call, which is a bearish position. We also have courses and videos on that in the Discord that's free down below. So if you want to learn more about that, go check it out. But this is somebody who is taking a bearish position. This person's betting $20 million that Tesla will not close above 260 bucks tomorrow. So it's not super, super bearish, but Tesla can't close above 260 or this person's going to lose $20 million. So, or that equivocal full of shares, I should say. He's gonna have to hand those shares over if it's covered. So this is why it's super important. So when we see Tesla moving into these resistances, and we see a day like today where it breaks support and big money selling covered calls, which is a bearish position, there's not a lot of money coming into Tesla. It's probably just retail who's kind of stuck holding the bag right now. And I don't think that we're going to definitely crater back down to the 240s, but I do think a very realistic thing would be pulling back down to maybe about 247, 240 worse. And this is going to move us now into looking at potential earnings and going into the next couple of months and the end of this year for those of you who are long-term investors or here for a bigger time frame such as myself. Now, in the live stream that I did with the team over on the Discord community today after the close, we talked a lot about the daily and the weekly chart, and we were talking about coming into earnings, what is going to end up happening, because the truth is Tesla really doesn't tend to trade in this tight of price ranges. Tesla tends to be very volatile, and it's very odd for it to sit and squeeze in a level. Does happen sometimes, but it's very rare. And so what are we looking at right now? I told everybody in the group earlier that they should be looking at all charts, whether it's daily, weekly, minutes, whatever the time frame might be, that you have to look at this from a psychological standpoint. And so when we have a stock like Tesla right now that is making lower highs each and every single time, the bulls are saying, we're bullish, we're keeping the trend afloat, but we don't believe in it enough to actually, or don't have the control enough to actually push it to higher highs. And every single time we get a pullback and we make a higher low, that's the bulls saying, okay, we're not going to sell it off and let it drop down to 200. We believe it's worth somewhere around here. And then we start to get a price and discrepancy where the stock is waiting for a big move. You can see all of this volume on the volume profile to the right, which I'm going to highlight in gold. All of this is tight price action. And so what we're doing is waiting for the break above, which will slingshot this from 280 to 320 in probably a month, easy. Or we're waiting for that break down below. And you can see, like, just like clockwork, we have a bearish order block coming in as resistance, a bullish order block coming in as support, and nothing is going to probably happen until earnings. I was talking to this with the team earlier, but it's like, we need a catalyst. The bulls don't feel strong enough about this to push this up. The bears don't either. CPI data was not enough to actually break out of this. It wasn't that big of a move for Tesla. Delivery numbers were obviously not the catalyst for Tesla that everyone thought it was. So the only thing is going to be earnings, and earnings are going to be coming out, as you guys can see here, on October 18th. And that also sets up with where the head of this squeeze is currently located. Now let's just zoom out one more time and let's look at the weekly chart, because this is honestly going to be very important. The first thing I want to do is just turn every indicator off and let's just look at price action. If we were to take a ray line or just a straight line, go from swing high and bring it all the way down here, you're going to see that we were in a downtrend on Tesla, basically from back here in May 2022, bottomed out down at 104, but then we were finally able, as you can see, to break up and hold over that level. And now at this point, we're sitting here consolidating within that symmetrical triangle that we spoke about earlier, waiting for a catalyst to break us out. But if we were to come over here and just take our Fibonacci retracement tool, it's one of my favorite tools to use, I would go from our swing high at 407, and we only focus on candle bodies, down to 112.98, and this, the only sections we keep is the 0.618 and the 0.5, because this is called our golden Fibonacci level. And this is important because what this is going to show us is the times to actually enter short or when the potential reversal of the trend is happening. So where we are right now, by all normal terms, I'm not saying that I'm doing this, but by all normal terms, this would be a great time to go short and ride Tesla back down to $111, which I do not think is going to happen, but I am being objective here and saying we have rejected on this golden zone and we have to break above it. If we don't break above it, Tesla will probably go back down to $100. I don't think that will happen though. Looking here, if we actually are able to break above this and hold over this, there's no reason that Tesla within just a couple of weeks won't go from $300 back up to $400, probably within probably 6 to 12 weeks. But that's still 37%, which would be absolutely insane. And this earnings, if this earnings really is monumental and crazy, and it pushes through 300, we could run for the whole quarter into next year up into all-time highs. That's for sure possible. Now, what if we want to play the downside? Because as of right now, like on this big time frame, it'd still be the time to go short. Now, the real time to go short would have been back in July because we came up, we had the best risk versus reward. When Tesla was trading at 300, I talked to you guys about opening a hedge against my 400 shares long term, which I didn't do. And the reason for it is I thought we were probably going to push through, and I was a little foolish. What we would have done was set a short position at 300 against our shares long term. And what we would have done is looked to hold that hedged position down to maybe 175 or 150. In all reality, I would have said probably $200 is where I'd hold the hedged position. And then what we would do is we would set a stop loss on that hedge, on those puts. And the stop loss would be set at a higher high from back here. So the stop loss would be set maybe up at like 322. And the reason you wouldn't just run the stop loss right here is because, yeah, your RVR would be crazy, but like your actual chances of getting tagged out is like 99%. So if we move it up here, you'd have a 4-to-1 RVR. And then as Tesla was pulling back, I could have started pulling off some of my hedged position, started to add maybe some more shares, which I didn't want to do, but at least pulled off my hedged position and then, released most of it. Then when we bounced in test 280 again, could have started. So for me, over the next couple of months, this is what we're looking at. The day today, I know that everyone's so enamored by it, and I'm a trader full time. Like I understand it, but like this is what we're really looking for. In the next couple of months, if Tesla can get up over this golden Fibonacci level, we are good to ride that baby into the sunset. But until then, it's why I just have not been taking many positions on Tesla specifically, because in most cases, it's unfortunately just not worth it. Now, if we could do one more thing and we just take a look at the weekly chart one more time, something to notice here is that there is a lot of volume on the on-balance volume. And the last thing to look at too, if we were to go through and actually remove all of our drawings, there's a big order block that came in, sitting between 210 and 238. And I do think that we will see Tesla move up to 300. And I do believe that in the next 6 months, we'll probably see Tesla back up at $371 to $400. I do think that will probably happen, but we have to get over this level first. Guys, I hope this video helped. If you want to get detailed training like this every single day, access to every single trade that I take, which I've also called out a lot of free trades. I called out Square, Boeing, a lot of great trades that I'm going to be covering on this channel as well. Go check it out. If you want to trade with me every single day together, go to the Discord or the second link in the description, and you guys can join my private group where you get access to all my trades. You get to live stream with me, myself, all of our mentees and mentors. You also get to come hang out and get access to all of our trading bots as well as our courses. Thanks for all the support, guys. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Peace.